now I'll ask everyone to take their seats and I'll introduce our guest speaker for tonight. Well, he doesn't need an introduction, but I'll give it one to him anyway. We've been very fortunate here in this district that we've had a very close association through Carlton and myself with the Knights of the Southern Cross Pre-Support and Education Fund. Over the last 3 years, our work in that has been very rewarding but very intense. Now, in our first year of joining the Pre-Support and Education Fund Committee, we got to know this man, and it was actually his last year as the Rector of the Seminary. So we didn't get that much time to get to know him in that regard, but it was just by fortune that he ended up over here. So now, the gentleman in question tonight has been a priest for 45 years, I believe, his father, he said. Yep. And for most of that time, he's either been an assistant parish priest or a parish priest in various parishes. 4 of those years he spent in Zambia as the chaplain of a missionary school. Now, in 2009, he was asked by Bishop Tomlinson to become Rector of Corpus Christi, Carlton, and for those next 7 years would oversee the education of our future priests. Now, many of his young charges and not so young charges are here tonight. Sorry, I couldn't help that. Oh, they know it. So when it came to coming up with the idea of a guest speaker, it just seemed logical. So just one thing though, as I've been doing my research, I did discover something about his past which he probably thought no one would ever know. Something that he probably thought he could hide forever. In case anyone didn't know or didn't realise, that for most of his youth, Father Lane was a redhead. You wouldn't realise it now, but I saw the pictures, Father, so there's no denying it there. So we're very privileged here, and we're very fortunate that at St Mary's, when Father Declan left, that we were able to get a parish priest, and one as experienced, skilled and talented as this one. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to our guest speaker, Father Brendan Lane.
Thanks, Andrew, for those words. Everyone hear me? That's good. So, it's wonderful to have this opportunity to speak to you tonight, because the Knights and the Serons have been very important for the seminary, especially the Serons with their prayer and the Knights with their support and education fund that started in our darkest times when we were getting all this bad publicity. So we're very, very grateful for that, and glad to be able to come and speak to you tonight. I've spent 7.5 years in the seminary. Before that I was a parish priest of Mill Park, and before that I was a parish priest of Hampton Park, before that Sunshine. But after moving from Hampton Park to Mill Park, the seminarian said the next stop was Memorial Park. So that's what I've had to put up with. I'm going to try and embarrass some of them tonight. Now, I don't know that man in the white. You might have seen him. That's just the Melbourne Catholic for next weekend. But I don't know him yet. He comes from interstate. He's our new Archbishop. But I'm very interested in, there's a little man on his right shoulder there who I know very, very well. So, who is it, Joseph? That's Lynn Pham. Now, you don't know Lynn Pham, but Lynn's Pham, there was a big ceremony last Wednesday Then Pam was the Master of Ceremony, and he's a wonderful young man, and just ordained a few years, and Archbishop Hart, I'll pass it around if you want to have a look at the man on the right shoulder of the Archbishop, Lin Pam. Now Lin Pam, I've been to his home in Vietnam. He was a shepherd, and he took out each day in the dry season about 10 kilometres up into the hills. He took out a herd of water buffalo to find, this young boy, to find grass for in the dry season for those big, massive big water buffalo. And then he grew up, and then he became the manager of a big hotel in the surfers' paradise of Vietnam, you know, a big hotel. And there were great challenges there, so he was a man of great character. He told me that the police chief wanted to turn his hotel into a brothel, and he said no. He was able to stand up to that, and here he is now as our Master of Ceremonies at St Patrick's Cathedral. So a remarkable story, and I suppose what has amazed me is how God is raising up these fellows at this stage when we need them. And I thought we finished 20 years ago, we had no one. There were about 17 or 18 in the seminary, and it was right down. And it's turned around, and remarkable people. It's now international from all around the world, and Archbishop Hart has selected the same people as are in the pews. So we have Indian students, we have Filipinos, we have Vietnamese, and we even got from Myanmar, Joseph Ung over here, and Joseph comes from the old Burma, and he grew up next to a Buddhist temple, and he picked up that karma. He was very unfortunate. He's been sent to Dandenong with me. I'm trying to upset him, but nothing works. Because on pastoral work, you try to get seminarians out of their comfort zone. They get comfortable, and they don't like being challenged too much. Is that right, Kevin? You get comfortable. I think we all like a bit of comfort. But to stir up Joseph was just about impossible. He had some health problems. He couldn't play sport. So he's got all these wonderful skills with his hands. He can paint, he can do all sorts of things. He can make clothing and artistic and marvellous flowers. He can arrange flowers. He can do all these extraordinary things. None of which are, and he's a great cook too. He cooks for me as well. My ministry is easy, not cooking. Anyway, and there's Jeff over here with the grey hair. He turned up at Corpus Christi. He's too old for Corpus Christi. We sent him off to Rome. There's a short course there. But he's a chemical engineer running a big factory, a big business there. And now he's a parish priest up on the hills, and no one wants to go from Belgrade right through to Monbulk, and he loves motorbikes and gets on these big motorbikes, Harley Davidson motorbikes. But he had a great success, and then for some reason he's in the priesthood. I don't know what's going on. That's what happened. And there's Andrew. Andrew down here. If I wanted anything organised, I'd always ask Andrew. He's a great organiser, and thank God he's turned up at Clayton Parish to sort that parish out. And he was a teacher before that, but he can't spell, can you? But he's got a gift for organisation. So we relied on Andrew. I was very sorry when he was ordained, because he had such a great gift. And Kevy Williams is a very hard worker, but I can't understand him, and got that Scottish accent. Now, in the seminary we've got the 4 pillars of formation, which are Joseph, one of the 4 pillars of formation. They could all give this talk, you know. They all know it backwards. Actually, all of them could be master of ceremonies. They're well trained, they could all do that. Andrew, you better help him out.
Human, spiritual, pastoral, and academic, intellectual.
Yeah, so those 4 areas, spiritual, human, the hardest one. How do you help men to grow up? I don't know. That's what we're trying to do in the seminary, trying to get them to grow up by taking responsibility and all that. Human, spiritual, pastoral, and intellectual. So, I didn't go to Corpus Christi. I went to a late vocation seminary in Sydney. We only did 4 years. And if you were weak in one area, we had to decide whether you had compensating factors to compensate. If you weren't good at your studies, well, you're good at something else. And you probably know 2 priests that I was in the seminary with, Father Bill Van Coy and Father Roger Ryan. Roger Ryan was my same year best friend. Now, he did the dirty and died on me, but anyway. I'll just tell you a bit about those fellows. Bill Van Coy was in the Dutch Army in Indonesia and a soldier. He's a tough guy, really. He came to the seminary when he was 56, so it's hard to get the brain moving again at that stage. But Bill was a very holy man, and he left the army and he came to Diamond Creek and he had a chicken farm there. And somehow he had that call and he ended up in North Dandenong, and he, I think, did a good job from what I hear. He was a very holy man. I felt that. But before I got there, I heard the staff at the seminary told me that someone had opened a brothel just up from the seminary there in Drummond Street, Carlton. And there was one seminarian going there, you see. I was telling this to Bill, and Bill said, well, that'd take the sting out of him, wouldn't it? But he didn't last long, of course, that fellow. But the idea in the past was to put the seminary away from all the temptations. Now you put them in the middle of it all and hope that they can find their way and keep their vocation in the midst of that. And Father Roger Ryan was a colourful character, undertaker before he came to the seminary. And he loved to socialise, he loved people, and he loved to drink with them too. And one day he had a good night out and he came home and he, fully dressed, he lay down on his bed and fell asleep. And seminarians tend to wake each other up in the morning. His neighbour, Mick Lyons, knocked on his door and said, Roger, time to get up. No answer, no answer. And so Mick climbed up, there was a window above the door, and he could see Roger's legs, but he couldn't see Roger. And looking in this little window above the door. So he went to the rector to get a master key to open the door to see if Roger was all right. But Roger had slipped the door so the key wouldn't open, you see. So Mick goes off to tell the rector. And the rector gets a big ladder and he climbs up onto the 2nd floor and through the window. And there was another seminarian who was a doctor. He had the doctor waiting out there. He thought Roger was dying or dead or something. And to let him in. And Joe O'Brien, another Joe O'Brien, Dr. Joe O'Brien. Joe O'Brien took one smell of his breath and realised what the problem was. But Roger survived all that and became a wonderful priest too, taken too early. So I looked at these compensating factors. He couldn't do philosophy. It didn't matter how long you spent teaching him, he just couldn't do philosophy. But they saw he had a wonderful way with people, and he became greatly interested in scripture, and he could explain that to people. So there's 2 priests to know, and a little bit about them. So we get to know a lot about a little number. We get a lot to know them, and we have to decide, can we live with this man's faults? To get the good, in all of them. They've all got faults. I won't go through your faults now, that's all right. But we'll go through the good things. So God is raising up these characters, and we have the most brilliant men, extraordinary men who are coming to the priesthood. There's Jerome Santa Maria. He's on 250,000 a year as a top lawyer. He's Bob Santa Maria's grandson, and he's in Rome finishing his doctorate now. But that man is absolutely the best student they've ever had, and he'll be coming back next year. So there's also Michael Buck and Marcus Golding. They got into the top courses at Melbourne Uni, and they've left it all to come to the priesthood. So there's a future leadership there. There's plenty of foot soldiers, ordinary priests like myself who can be parish priests, but we do have those who can give us a lead in the future. So we're very blessed. I just stood amazed at these people. Yesterday I had a big funeral of Eustace D'Souza, Anglo-Indian, and the Rawlins were there too. And the first time I've ever seen it, he sang at his own funeral. And the reason is that someone had recorded him singing this song about pennies, wasn't it? The 5 pennies, he had 4 daughters, and each one was a penny. A penny of my dreams, a penny of my wishes, a penny of my love. And as he sang each penny, he'd go and hug that daughter. And it was, at the end of it, he was being lowered in the crematorium there. He sang those beautiful words. Well, I feel that these seminarians have been my pennies or gold coins or whatever, to be able to share in their life and to understand their vocations and to be amazed at what God has been doing. I want to talk about a seminarian left, and probably the most amazing seminarian of all. His name is Deng Chaw. He's from South Sudan. And Deng Chaw had grown up a Muslim, became a Christian, and he went through all the terrible things in South Sudan, a long march into Ethiopia and across Kenya. Grew up in the camps, had no idea of money or anything like that. He never had money, and so he completed everything, and his bishop said, "I'm not going to ordain you." And that bishop was Archbishop Wilson, the one who's in trouble now. And the reason that he wouldn't ordain him was that Deng would go to South Sudan on his holidays, and they'd say, "We need a school." And like Mary MacKillop, his feast day is today, he would start all these schools, then come back to Australia and start raising money to support them and to pay the teachers and all this. And he had a great network of people supporting him. But I think the bishop was right, and he'd end up with all these schools, so he wouldn't ordain him. So the family took over and said, "You have to be married." So now he's come back to Australia, and he's got a wife and 2 children. But he's another Mary MacKillop, really. And he's now chaplain at St Peter's College, Clyde North. He got a job doing that. He used to be a teacher though, and he had to sit in the back of the class when the teacher would teach him. And he was a master of theology, but he couldn't say anything. And one student asked the teacher, "What happens to bishops when they retire?" Like Archbishop Hart. She said, "Oh, they're excommunicated." So he couldn't sit there, he couldn't say anything. But he's got on with his life. Now those who don't, the other thing about the seminary is it's a place where you find out if you're really suited for that life. God wants you in it. You have a vocation, because it's a great life if you've got a vocation. It's a terrible life if you haven't got a vocation. So so some very fine fellows have left, and I'm always happy when they get on with their life. I always felt we had to make a decision on them by the end of 2nd or 3rd year. are not told, let them get on with their life. And so many of them have married well and having families and that sort of thing. And I'm happy to see that, and that's the case with Deng as well. But it's now, just to give you a few facts instead of all my carry on there. Every year they have a soccer tournament, and it's quite inspiring, especially this year when Corpus Christi won for the first time. You see the seminarians from all over Australia. There's over 200 turn up at this soccer tournament. This year it was in Sydney. Out of that 200, 167 are diocesan and about 38 are from other religious orders. And the only thing that seminarians can do together, because they're from all around the world today, is soccer and mass and prayer. That's about all they can do. In 1968, there were 546 seminarians. 1991, 172, a really low point. That was when I thought we were finished. But it's turned around. In 1971, there were nearly 4,000 priests in Australia, and in 2009 that had dropped to just over 3,000, and nearly 2,000 diocesan priests and about 1,000 religious. So there's one priest for every 1,613 Catholics, which is pretty good. Then John Paul came along and he encouraged everyone very much and wrote some beautiful things. And there are a lot of John Paul priests who turned it around with World Youth Day and all that happened, and of course all your prayers as well. And he said, open your hearts to the Holy Spirit. We had all that bad publicity, but as we keep saying, the more bad publicity we get, paradoxically, the more seminarians we got. It was the opposite to what you would expect. The other thing that's happened, of course, is there's 500 parishes around Australia with priests from overseas, and they have helped out, and some make it, some don't, but in general, most of them do a good job. So we're blessed really in Australia to be able to maintain our church and to have all these priests serving us here. So in my time it was great to be in the seminary. I loved it there. I was spending my time with young people, and I saw my work very much as a father of the seminarians. I wasn't intellectual, wasn't an academic. I'm a parish priest, and that's all I could do, like a father to them. And try and do the same things my father did. He was an electrician. We had a workbench. None of these fellas have grown up with workbenches. And so they'd say, oh, the light's out. And I'd say, they expect me, we'll get an electrician. And I'd say, you're going to change that. And so I had a supply of lamps and that, and they'd stand up and I'll tell you what to do. Another fellow said, the door of my wardrobe's come off its rail. I said, here's a screwdriver, you go and fix it yourself. So there's all these things. We had a marvellous engineer, what was his name, from Sale, down Sale Way. And we had these globes very high up in the chapel, and they won't get up ladders now. I grew up on ladders, but they won't do that. So he devised a pole with a suction cap on the top that we could change the globe, and a blanket there. When the globe fell down, they catch it in the blanket. And what was his name? Ben Manners, yeah. Well, he turned up at Dandenong a couple of weeks ago with his wife. He couldn't do the study, so I was happy. It was too hard when he was older, like Jeff, you know. But he's a wonderful engineer, and now, instead of having to get a scaffold in and just to change one globe, you just put a stick up and take it off. So there's lots of practical things and skills they have to do the garden and all that. So that's part of that human formation. The pastoral, it's really challenging. The first year they go to the nursing homes, and that's hard for young guys. They've never been with old people. And to Little Sisters of the Poor and all that. They have to be able to mix with those people and talk to them so that they're comfortable as priests doing that. Then they do a second-year catechetics, teaching religion to children in state schools. Then they go to secondary schools and learn how to work in those schools. Then they go to hospitals and palliative care and all that. So once they've been through all that, they're pretty well prepared for what they're going to do in their priesthood. So that's the pastoral. The academic is 7 years of demanding study, and and especially for those overseas who are struggling with their English. One of them said the English language is a monster. You can get to a certain stage with English. You can go to shops spoken English, but they've got to be better than that to give a homily. And so it's absolutely cruel what we do them to try and help them to improve. You know, Lynn Pham was actually very good with his English. Some of them find it harder. There's Jeff down in Sale. Jeff murders the English language, always has, and he always will. But he's got the personality to get away with it, you see. And so you look at Jeff and you think, yeah, he'll be all right, even though you're struggling always with English. So we have that, the academic, and then the spiritual. Now, the spiritual is they've got to get up every morning at 7:15 for Mass and meditation. And if they can't be a priest, they can't get out of bed. Tell me the excuses you've used for sleeping in. Andrew.
Studied all night.
Studied all night, a good one.
Well, I was sick.
The alarm didn't go off. Right. They've got to report themselves. What did you use, Kevin?
I never slept too.
Never. There's Australia's next saint over there. Okay. And Joseph, you say the same too? You never slept in. No. Jeff, what did you use?
Age.
If they didn't make it in the morning, they had to report themselves. And so Father Des Maloney, who's turned up here at Hampton Park, a wonderful man, and he was my vice rector, and without him, I couldn't have been there because he did all the work and I just looked good out in front. But there's that, the pastoral, the academic, the human. How do you help men to grow up? All your wives are good at that. Now, I don't know how to do it, but we tried to help them to mature and to take responsibility and all that. And the spiritual, what's the fourth one? Hey? Pastoral, yeah, we've done that. Done them all. We've done it. Okay. So that's the course they've all done, and I think it's a great training they get, much better than we ever did, and they never got up to the tricks we got up to either, so as far as I know anyway. And, I said to Father Denton there, he told me he went off to learn how to say Latin Mass. I said, I didn't know about that, and he said, you didn't ask. Now, see, they get a bit smart, don't they? So it was a great time, I think you'll find a lot of laughter in the seminary. We laughed a lot, we enjoyed it. And also we try to enculturate, which is very difficult, especially now with more and more overseas students. How do you teach them about Australia and Australian culture? So that's important when they go to parishes, that you people help them. We use a lot of slang, you know, and it's the only way you learn slang is learn it one by one. There's no logic, you know, on pulling your leg. They know all the words, they know about legs and they know about pulling, and but pulling your leg, what's that mean? You know, so it's very challenging, and we have the slang for the week, and we try to get them to use it, but it doesn't work. And then we tried rhyming slang, you know, your fork and knife is your wife, you know, and so that comes back as me knife and fork. You know, so that's totally wrong. But anyway, it was great fun as well. So God has blessed us greatly. Thanks for all your support and prayers over the years. And I was blessed to be in the seminary at that time where there was growth, and Corpus Christi was about 40 when I got there, and got up to 60. But you keep losing them through ordination, which is the purpose of it, and then you rebuild again. So it's an interesting place, it's just as the church is fascinating and interesting today, as we're like Pentecost, people from all over the world coming to hear the one message, the one Lord, the one baptism, and that gives us a unity despite all our differences. So thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Father. Did anyone actually have any questions of Father about his time in seminary?
I was just curious, do you have any Aboriginal seminaries coming through?
Look, there's never been an Aboriginal priest. The one who got closest was that fellow who's in Parliament now, or Broom, I think. What's his name? But he was ordained a priest, but he left the priesthood. And the other group that I'm not sure about are who are very religious, the Tongans, the Samoans, and the Maoris. I had one of those trying to get in, but he could never meet the requirements. But I think I'd send them to New Zealand, where they're used to the islanders a lot more. And you've got the one Sudanese who has finished everything, and Deacon George over there. So, yeah, and no Aborigines here. So that's the failure of the church in Australia. I don't know. Yeah.
Does anyone else have any other questions? No? Oh, thank you very, very much, Father. Give it just as an interesting side note, Father Lane mentioned about Father Jeff, how he came to the seminary late and he came as a chemical engineer. I've had the pleasure of knowing Father Jeff, or back then Jeff, for many years, because we worked together at Ensign Laboratories. He as our QA manager, and I as running one of the lines. And it was funny because when I took over, he's been a great friend of the Vaccaro family. He's known my uncle for a very long time and worked alongside him for a lot of things. When I took over from my uncle running our area, the dairy, it was a difficult time for me. It was a lot of responsibility so soon, and I had various issues and that. And I remember I was putting a lot of it on myself. And I do remember there was one day I was going by the QA office, and Jeff called me in. Jeff then called me in, and he saw that I was trying to put too much on myself, take on too. And I remember him saying to me, "We're here to help you. We're here to, if you need help, put it on us. Don't take it all on yourself. Put it on us." And that was probably the first example for me of Jeff's pastoral nature. And it came back years later when we discovered that we were both Catholic, and we started talking about faith after work. And I should have realised that at the time that he was seeking a different vocation, but I didn't think of it because we'd both been at Ensign for a very long time. And then when he did announce that he was entering the seminary, I wasn't at all surprised, but I should have seen it earlier. So it's just funny the way things work out in life. So we're very fortunate in this district. That with the support of our seminarians is very strong. We have the president of the Parents and Corpus Christi Parents and Friends Auxiliary, Linda Rawlins, here. We also have the brother of one of our seminarians, Jeff Zaha, here as well. So, and then between Carmen and myself on the Pre-Support and Education Fund, this district is in strong support of the seminary. So we ought to be proud of that and give yourselves a round of applause in that regard.
There's a spot there for you waiting, Andrew.
And God's called me to other things as it is anyway. I'd be doing less.